Hi, Eva here. I know I've been missing in action for a couple of weeks. My daughter graduated and I had my family from Denmark come visit, and we were touring Northern California and having a lot of fun. And so I didn't have any time to film a YouTube video. But now I'm back in action again, and I thought I would share with you a purchase I did. It's actually a little while ago now. I bought a set of 12 of the Caran watercolor pencils, 12 museum aquarelle soft watercolor pencils of extra fine quality. I've heard other artists talk about the watercolor pencils, and I've had some, and I've hardly ever used them. And the ones I had, I think they were just like, I don't know, some no-name brand, probably not a very good quality, and I never really used them. So I thought I'd give it a try with a good quality pencil. So Caran should be the best of the best. I think there's one other brand that also gets rave reviews from the experts, and that is the Faber-Castell. But I went with the Swiss brand Caran, and I just bought 12, a set of 12. I already swatched them out, so you can see here. These are the 12 colors I have. I have lemon yellow, gold cadmium yellow, light cadmium red, purplish red, dark ultramarine, and permanent blue, phthalocyanine green, bright green, yellow ochre, brown, Payne's gray, and black. So basically all colors that I don't normally have on my palette. So this should be interesting. And what I did on the swatch was, first I put some of the color down, and then I took a wet brush and I just made a little square and made it from full strength to light. And I did that on all of them. They're not really, they're pretty light up here, but I did really full strength down here. And then this is what it looks like if you just leave them without putting water on. So that's what I did. And so I'm thinking they would be really great for the final details on certain paintings where you feel they need a little detailing. And we'll play with that in the coming weeks. I'll incorporate these pencils. So, what did they cost? I paid $35.62, and I bought them on Amazon. And so that was including shipping and stuff. And I just checked it. Now they're right around $37 if you buy it on Amazon for this particular set of 12. And I just double checked on the Jerry's Artorama website, and there you can buy them individually for $2.69 each. And then, if you ordered it with some other stuff and got free shipping, you would definitely get a better price, because when I divided mine out, I paid just under $3 each. So I didn't get them at the best price, but it's one of those, all of a sudden I wanted to have them, and I wasn't ready to place a big order or anything like that, so I just bought the set. They are, according to their little brochure here, they are light fast and 100% water soluble, and they have great transparency, and they actually come in 76 different colors. And they have exceptional color light fastness, whether you apply them wet or dry. And they're using the standard blue wool scale. And there's high pigment density, and you can buy them in sets like this or individual. So whatever floats your boat. And if you have watercolor pencils and you just want to try out before you invest in these here, go ahead and do that. So what I was going to do was I was going to use this little sketch I did of, I don't know if you can see it, it's Thor's hammer. And I have just a little here from Bryce National Park in Utah. And I did a little painting with my class yesterday, and it's not 100% finished. It's as far as I could get in a 3-hour class. And I thought that would be a fun one to just use the watercolor pencils here and try and put some color in where there's shadow and light, and then put a little bit of water on and see how they behave. And so I'm doing that in my sketchbook, which is Strathmore 140 pound cold pressed watercolor paper in this old sketchbook that I have. So it's not the Arches watercolor paper that I normally paint on. And I have already sketched out another painting I want to do with the watercolor pencils of Grand Canyon, and I'll do that in another video. Of course, I didn't want to make this one too long. So without further ado, let me just grab, let's see, what color do I want to do? Maybe I'll do the brown and just put some brown on where I think there's going to be shadows on this thing. So I'm just going to scribble in some brown on the shadow sides. And so I'm just scribbling that in. And let's grab, I have a number 8 watercolor brush here that I can use. And let's just see. I just want to get shadow on the shadow side of these rock formations. And actually what I'm thinking here, just looking at it, this is the rock formations that are further away, so I shouldn't really do it in brown. I'll blue it up instead. So probably Payne's Gray would be much better to do that stuff. So I'll do that on this one here, and then I'll just let that dry. I don't know what's going to happen. I think what happens is with watercolor pencils, I already knew that from that little experience I have with the other ones, is that if you put them on when you already have water on the paper, the colors tend to get quite a bit darker. You can also do it like this. Use your wet brush and just kind of use your, splatter. Use your pencil as a palette. And I got all that splatter on there. Not going to worry about it. It's going to be the sky. And since this is the Strathmore paper, that's a lot harder pressed. So it's easier to pick up on this type of paper. So there we go. And then let's see here what it looks like over here if I do the Payne's Gray. Go down here, make it nice and dark. A little bit more water on. I'm going to go back there. That's better. So I can see, you can almost dissolve the pencil marks if you just scrub back and forth a little bit. But I don't mind having a little bit of texture. All right, so maybe I'll put a little bit of that dark underneath here. It'll be really dark. And put that like that. And then put a little bit of the brown here and back on here. And like that. And then there's going to be really dark underneath here. And so maybe that was the brown I used. And I think I'll do both the brown and the gray here, so I get a cooler color there. And rinse that out, kind of soften the edge. And then there's going to be more shadow over on this whole side, and especially underneath here. So I'm just making it up, but I'm just thinking, oh, I didn't share that with you. Light source coming from right hand corner there, so that's why I know this side is going to be in the shadow side. It's going to be the shadow side of my rock formations here. Here's that, really dark. I can go up a little bit there, and then I can pull it down here. Maybe soften that area a little bit, and put some more dark right there. And let's try the black here. I never use black otherwise, but here it's kind of fun to try it out. So maybe some little marks on here could be fun. And down here. And a little bit more of the brown. Do some of these little crackly things. Now, this is called, as I mentioned earlier, it's called Thor's Hammer, and it's in Bryce Canyon National Park in Utah. And I've been there, but it's a long time ago. And I just looked up on Google and found a bunch of different pictures of Bryce Canyon. And you know how it is with copyright and all that stuff. So I cannot show you any of those pictures. So I would suggest you go on and find some good reference photos yourself. Normally I do from photos that I have taken myself, but this one, I didn't want to dig through my thousands of photos to try and find the ones I took a long time ago. So I just Googled it. So you'll have to bear with that and look it up. So there's going to be some darkness here, and it's going to be cooler, so I'm going to do a little bit with black. And there we have it. All right, so that was those two colors, three colors, gray and Payne's gray, the black and the brown. So here's some more Payne's gray. Just going to scribble in a little bit more. There. So you can see, just scribble, you can see the lines you made with a pencil. However, if you scrub just a little bit on it, they almost disappear. So that's good to know. All right. So let's see. Let's look at our little thing here. Let's do some of the gold cadmium, and some of the light red for some of the highlighted areas. So this is gold cadmium. And I'm just going to put that on the lightest parts. A little bit there maybe. Okay. And then I'm going to put a little bit of the light cadmium red. I never ever, those that paint with me, they know, I never use cadmiums. But now I do, because that's what I got in my little set. If I had given it a little bit more thought, maybe I should have just, gone with the open stock and picked out the colors that I normally like to use, but I didn't. Because, it was like a sudden impulse, and I don't know if you're anything like me, but then all of a sudden, I just have to have it. And I don't give it much thought. See how that works. And, ooh, bright, very bright. And I'm going to drag that in over the whole, these colors in over the whole thing, so that there's color unity. I don't want it to look like it's all, separate. And then because I already put the shadow color down, that's going to cool it down and make it a little bit darker on the shadow side, but still have some of that bright yellow orange that I'm getting here. So a little bit more water on. I think I need a little bit more color here. I'm just going to put a little bit more on here. In there. And then of the red. So there, let's see. There we go. Now this is too bright down here, I find. Let's put a little bit of brown in. You can also almost use whatever you scribble on the paper. You can almost use it like a palette. It really dissolves very easily. Now there's a beautiful color. Should have that somewhere else. A little bit of that on. And dissolve these red tones that I put over here. So you can build up the colors just like you can with regular watercolors, I can tell. I can also tell right away that I'm probably not going to switch over to watercolor pencils anytime soon. I mean, they're okay. It's kind of fun to try, but I'm not sold on the whole idea here. I'm going to put a little bit more here. Shadow. That was Payne's Gray. All right, so I took a little break because I just needed to let this dry and evaluate it a little bit. And I don't know if I mentioned to you, but the box that these come in is nice and padded, and you want to make sure that you treat your pencils here gently, because you don't want them to be dropped on the floor and banged around, because then the pigment inside the lead, which is not lead, could break. And when you have to sharpen them, I have seen other artists say that they don't like to sharpen them with an electric or a regular pencil sharpener, and they use an X-Acto knife. I'm very, very bad at that kind of sharpening of pencils, so I think I might just use my pencil sharpener when I need to sharpen them. But let's try and move on here. Let's see here. I need to put a little bit of sky in. So I'm just going to use the dark ultramarine. And I'm just going to scribble in a little bit. I'm sure you can already kind of sense that I'm not a huge fan. I think I'll use these for maybe sketching out on location, and to put some final details in some paintings. I could totally see them very useful for that. Just painting the whole painting with these, yeah, I don't think it's for me. But just because it's not for me, could be for you. So just scribbled in a little bit of the blue. I used the dark ultramarine, and then I used some of the permanent blue further down, because sky is there darkest at the top, and then they get lighter as you move down towards the horizon. So here, and on this paper we already determined that I don't have to worry so much about the pencil marks, because if I scrub a little bit on this paper, that takes care of it. It's just in my sketchbook. I have to keep telling myself that. So, and it's just to test out these pencils. So this is not going to be a masterpiece, but not everything we do should be a masterpiece. We have to allow ourselves, and I have to remind myself of that, not just to try and remind you of it, that we have to allow ourselves to play a little bit, because that's where we discover new things and learn new things. If we just keep doing what we know works, we never learn anything new. So if nothing else, I'm learning something new. Maybe I'm learning that I'm not really a watercolor pencil painter, and that's fine too. So let's spread that around. And a lot of these, sets, they come with all these many colors. And since my method of painting is usually blending and mixing the colors directly on the page, I think I would personally do the same with the pencils, but you would certainly have the option of doing more like they do in pastel painting, where they also have a ton of different colors, and they just grab a new color every time they need a color shift. They don't really blend. So just want to activate all this, get a little bit of that blue as a background, and the more water I put on, the lighter it gets. So I got some lines and some marks here, doesn't matter. All right, so I think I need to darken up here a little bit, and I'll do that with a dark ultramarine blue. It's just, no, it's up here I want to darken, not up there. This corner, especially since that's a shadow part of it. Oh, that's, the sun is up here, so that should be a little lighter. So I'll scrub around a little bit. And then here, a little darker. And scrub a little bit more so I can get rid of some of those pencil lines. And let's see here, what if I went in and scrubbed around just a little bit and loosened up some of that pigment again. And used a Kleenex to try and lift out just some little, maybe some little clouds, since I got a little bit of an edge there because I went in with a wet brush. Just scrub around a little bit here, a little bit up here, and let's see. Just a little bit like that. Some indication of a little bit of cloud cover coming in. And these lines here I did not, I think, so that's another thing I learned right now together with you. See here where I put on some more with the pencil before it was dry. When you do that, you don't, the lines, the pencil marks, they won't really lift out as well. So I learned that. And see, have a little bit of color on these here. Let's just take, I want to put a little bit more color on over here. I want to put more color on over here where it's darker. So I'm using the brown and a little bit underneath here and a little bit here, down here. And let's see. There we go. And then pull that up there. And same on this side. Should do a little bit like that, connect them. And then down here, it's the shadow side of this Thor's hammer. There we go. And then I want to put a little bit in, a bit more shadow in here, here, and maybe even on this edge here, and in here. So I'm trying to give these a little bit more shape. There. And drag that in there. And be a little bit more like this way. And there's that. And just drag that across. I think I want to darken this in here a little bit, as if it's turned away from the light. There. Let's see. Still not super excited, to be honest with you. But here we go. There's that. And I wanted to put a little darkness on here. And there. And this one here could actually even have a little tiny bit. That red. Yeah, this is the cadmium light red. Light red cadmium exact, to be exact. I am also thinking, because these colors, as I mentioned earlier, are colors that I don't usually use, that could have something to do with my lack of enthusiasm. A bit more darkness on here. There we go. And see, when I put the watercolor pencil on damp water, the lines won't, they won't go away. They stay. So that's if you want that to happen, then that's great. Then you know that. And if that's not what you want, then that's not the way to go about it. I'm learning that as we go. So now I'm putting a little bit more of the gold cadmium yellow on here on just the tops that are catching the light. And smudge it out a little bit. It's not quite the right color, but that will be artistic license. I put a little bit on here, even though it's further away, but there I think I'll probably use a little bit of the red, and I'll put a little bit of the red on here. But here I have to be careful, because I might not be able to get rid of those scribble lines because the paper is still damp. There. There we go. And then let's bring this out a little bit. And let's take the Payne's Gray on this side. This side of it. And also up here. Let's make it a little bit more dramatic. And down here. Let's see. Get this one. And it needs to be a little darker down here at the bottom. So that's also Payne's Gray I'm using. And it's away from the light here, so, and we need a little bit of dark contrast. So let's see here. We can smudge it out. I think that works pretty well. I'm using the brush I'm using here is number 12, and it's from the Mimic Squirrel line from Creative Marks, which is a Jerry's Artarama brand. I feel like a little brown in here. Again, I have to be a little careful because it's wet, so we just learned that we can't get rid of the pencil lines when we scribble in on wet paper, so got a few little marks there. I can kind of get them to go away a little bit. All right, so I don't think I'm going to doctor around on this much longer. Here I'm just hoping that you also get an impression of what you can accomplish with these here. You can probably do much better than I'm doing with it here. And there's that. I don't know if maybe I can Get a little bit of the red in. Down here especially. So, and there's one other thing. There's one thing I know I love about, at least there's something I know I love about watercolor pencils. And that is the fact that you can make fabulous foliage when you use them. So let me show you that. I'm not gonna bore you with anymore on this one here. I might very well finish it off, and if I do, I'll take a picture and post it at the end of this video so you can see the end result. Okay, I just finished putting color on this one here, just so you can see. And here it is. So for a sketch, I guess it's okay. It gives me a little idea of how to do an actual painting of this Thor's hammer from Bryce Canyon. So I'll probably be doing a demo of that particular painting here with regular watercolors. So I'm back in my comfort zone. But let me show you this little trick. So you need a spray bottle, preferably one of the kinds where you can make like a dot pattern. So I just dot on some water. Can you see it? So the water is on in little dot patterns. And then I take an emery board. I have a little emery board here. And then I can take my green, and then I use a nail file and I file so that the little the dust, so to speak, from the pencil goes down onto the water I have sprayed on. So you can see this is the pattern you get right when you do it like this. And then see here, if I do some more and then put some more of this in, I can even do a different color, darker green. The green I used here first was the bright green, and now I'm using the cyanine green, it's called. So I just tap the emery board so that all that dust will come off. And then I'm gonna put a little bit more the dots on, and then I'm gonna let it dry. So that's one way of doing it. You can also do the dust first, and as I recall it, that actually works better. So put some on here, and I'm going to take some of the light green. There we go. So there's just the dust. And then I'm going to take my little dot bottle and I'm going to spray into it. And then you just have to let it dry. And then you'll see. So I'm going to wait until it's dry. There's no use of hairdryer or anything like that with this particular method, because then you're going to ruin the whole effect. So I'm going to let it dry, and once it's dry, I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay, I let them dry, and you can see you get some really nice scalloped edges, and you would be able to create a wonderful tree. And let some little branches go up through here. And I use the brown for the tree trunk, and I'm going to use some of the paint spray. And just some little branches in through those sky holes. And I want to take a brush and wet it a little bit, so let the colors flow together. And connect it to the ground here. Just run a little bit of water over them. You don't have to do that, but I think it looks nicer if you have a little water over. And so you can see that way you can create some nice trees and the foliage by doing it that way. And nobody says you can't go in and doctor it up a little bit. Like here, I think I need a little bit more here. So I'm just going to do that. There. And there. But that is probably the best use of these colors, in my opinion. This is probably just because I haven't used them enough to really get the most out of them. And then I think, as I have said to you before, I think you might be better off get the colors that you like, and just make sure that don't let them roll around in just some box, because the leads can break when you do that. So take good care of them and use them as you see fit. Just going to give this little guy also some little branches. And I think they're good to take out for just sketching, and also if you want to do just a little detail on paintings where you need like a fine line or something, that's a lot easier with the pencils for sure than trying to do it with a brush. So in those instances, they probably could be really, really handy. So here we go. This tree also a little bit. All right. But there you have it. The Caran watercolor pencils in action with somebody who doesn't really know what she's doing. All right. So I hope you found that useful and help you make the decision whether you want to buy some colored pencils, or if you have some lying around, try and experiment with them. And again, we have to remember that not every painting we do has to turn into a masterpiece. Sometimes we just have to play around to learn new stuff. Either we learn what to do, or sometimes, like here, I learned quite a bit about what not to do. So, but that has value too. And I wish you happy painting, and I will upload a new video very soon. And yeah, enjoy and see you soon.